He was standing right in the middle of the road, thin and fragile, his head hanging low, his eyes carrying a sadness that felt very old. It was as if life had stopped being kind to him a long time ago. Around his neck was a deep wound left by an old rope, and beside him lay an empty bucket. I slowed down out of curiosity, but the moment he lifted his eyes and looked at me, I knew this donkey needed help. There was something about him that felt familiar. Then it came back to me. I had seen him before. Months earlier, he had been walking alongside a stray dog I used to feed. Back then, he playfully stole her bone and trotted away with pride. But now, he stood there alone, exhausted, as if he no longer believed anyone would ever stop for him again. I had no idea what to do. I had never taken care of a donkey before, but somehow, in that moment, it didn't matter. A few minutes later, an older man appeared his owner. I asked if he would be willing to sell the donkey. He looked surprised, shrugged, and said, "He's no use to me anyway." And just like that, Bochelli, the name I would later give him, stepped into my life. In the beginning, he didn't understand what kindness was. Every time I tried to touch him, his body stiffened, as if he was bracing himself for another blow. But after a few days, he finally allowed me to stroke his cheek and slowly closed his eyes. Bachelli was in poor health, thin and unsteady on his feet. There was clearly something wrong with his legs and he needed treatment. I wasn't completely sure, but I had seen a similar condition before in my friend's horses.
Yeah. You go.
I called a friend who runs a small farm outside the city and asked if she could take him in. She agreed right away. When we brought Bochelli there, he stood still for a long time, looking around as if trying to make sure this wasn't a dream. Then he slowly took a few steps forward, breathed in deeply, and let out a soft, trembling bray. It was the purest sound of freedom I had ever heard. That day, he was given a real spa day washed, his hooves trimmed, his wounds treated. He stood patiently through it all, as if he understood that this time it was care, not punishment. When it was over, he ran around the yard, shaking his ears and making funny little sounds, almost like he was singing. That's how he got his name Bochelli, after the famous singer. He turned out to be the sweetest soul. He loves attention and seems to believe that everything around him exists just for him. Sometimes he walks up to me, rests his head on my shoulder, and simply stands there calm, gentle, and full of gratitude. Whenever you call his name, he always answers with a long, loud bray, as if he's been practicing his whole life just for that moment. He quickly made friends with the other animals, especially a white horse he is now inseparable from. They walk together, eat together, and rest side by side in the shade. If she wanders too far away, he immediately calls out for her to come back. In those moments, I can see it clearly he has finally learned what it means to not be alone. Every time I visit the sanctuary, Bochelli runs out to greet me, singing loudly and glowing with happiness. He gallops around the yard, shakes his mane and plays like a child. Sometimes he even runs to the gate, as if to make sure we're still there. And I'm always amazed at how a single rescue can completely change a life. There was a time when Bochelli was lonely, hungry, and afraid. Now he lives surrounded by friends, loved and cared for in ways he never knew before. And sometimes I think, maybe I didn't rescue him at all. Maybe he rescued me. Because that day, when I stopped on the side of the road, something inside me changed too. If you enjoyed Bochelli's story, please like, comment and subscribe to the channel to see more heartwarming animal stories. And remember, before bringing any animal into your home, take the time to learn about their specific needs, because kindness, when given the right way, is the key to giving them the happy and healthy life they truly deserve.